Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the TechNet vlog. Thank you so much for the likes, the comments, the shares, and also for the subscription. Just a reminder that I'm not paid by IIBA, PMI, or even Scrum.org. I'm just sharing my knowledge on this channel, and we have other videos that would be of use to you just in case you want to check those out. Now, I know the last time we did the chapter 1, the chapter 2. Now we're diving into business analysis, planning, and monitoring. So, let's go right into it. And also, even as we go on, we are going to navigate to this screen so that we'll have a summary of what we need to do before we go to the next. So let's look at a summary of business analysis, planning, and monitoring. Meanwhile, I got this from a test online on IIBA's BABOK and stuff. So I think I will share this. So for business analysis, planning, and monitoring, we'll be looking at plan business analysis approach, and these are the input, elements, and output under it. We're going to look at plan stakeholder engagement. We're going to look at plan BA governance. We are going to look at plan business analysis information management, and we are going to look at identify business analysis performance improvement. So, yes, and let's start. Now, the business analysis planning and monitoring knowledge area tasks organize and coordinate the efforts of the business analysts and stakeholders. So it tells you that just like it says it's about planning and monitoring, this coordinates your efforts as a business analyst and also that of your stakeholders. These tasks produce outputs that are used as key guidelines for other tasks throughout the BABOK guide. So remember, just like we said, that any outputs you get acts as an input, okay, to other guidelines. So the business analysis, planning, and monitoring knowledge area includes the following tasks. Plan business analysis approach. So you plan the approach you want to take, okay, for that project. You plan stakeholder engagement. You plan how you want to engage with your stakeholders. Plan business analysis governance. You plan how you want to take charge of, maybe your approvals, those that will take decisions. Plan business analysis information management. The information you are going to get from this, how do you want to coordinate it? How do you want to plan it? Identify business analysis performance improvement. So you identify the business analysis performance improvement. Whatever comes out, what are the improvements you want to, undertake? So just like I said, it says plan business analysis, planning and monitoring. Okay, so this is just the stage where you plan everything about the project, how you are going to go about it, how you are going to monitor, how you are going to put control in check and stuff like that. So let's go. Plan business analysis approach describes the planning of business analysis work from creation or selection of a methodology to planning the individual activities, tasks, and deliverables. So you're not only planning the methodology or the approach you want to take here, you're also planning your tasks, your individual activities, and your deliverables. Then plan stakeholder engagement, just like it sounds, describes understanding which stakeholders are relevant to the change. So you want to describe who and who would be important to this change. What business analysts need from them, what you need from those people that will be important to this change, and what they need from business analysts, and what are the requirements, what do they expect from you, and the best way to collaborate, the best way to bring them together. Okay? Now, plan business analysis governance defines the components of business analysis that are used to support the governance functions of the organization. It helps ensure that decisions are made properly, okay, and consistently. So you make sure that the decisions are made properly and they are consistent and follows a process that ensures decision makers have the information they need. Examples of this include requirement management, business analysis risk management, and allocation of business analysis resources. So just know that your governance is just how you put a check and balance, how you coordinate, how you control things, how you bring in approvals. For example, when you want to take a decision, you have to go to the governance to tell them this is what we want to do. Do you approve? And they will analyze it and give you a go ahead, or review it. Okay. Plan business analysis information management. Now, when you're working as a business analyst, you're going to collect so many information. Now you want to plan how those information will be relevant. Who and who you should make it available to. Okay. Defines how information developed by business analysts, including the requirements and design, is captured, stored, and integrated with other information for long-term use. Okay. Identify business analysis performance improvements. Now, as you are walking your way through and you notice something, how do you go about improving that? Describes managing and monitoring how business analysis work is performed to ensure that commitments are met and continuous learning and improvement opportunities are realized. The core concept model in business analysis planning and monitoring. Yeah. Remember that whatever knowledge area we come across, we have this BACCM. Okay, the business analysis core concept model describes the relationships among the six core concepts. The following table describes the usage and application of each of the core concepts within the context of business analysis planning and monitoring. So we are infusing the core concept into business analysis planning and monitoring. So let's go right into it. Now, just position your mind to think about business analysis, planning, and monitoring, and how this core concept talks to it. Okay? Change, the act of transformation in response to a need. So during the business analysis, planning, and monitoring, business analysts are responsible for determining how changes to business analysis results will be requested and authorized. Need, a problem or opportunity to be addressed. So at this stage, the business analyst choose a business analysis approach that provides adequate analysis for the change. So it could be waterfall, it could be agile. Solution, a specific way of satisfying one or more needs in a context. So at this stage, the business analyst under planning and monitoring evaluate if business analysis performance was a key contributor to the successful implementation of a solution. Stakeholder, a group or individual with a relationship to the change, the need, or the solution. So at this stage, business analysts perform a stakeholder analysis to ensure planning and monitoring activities reflect stakeholder needs and account for stakeholder characteristics. Value, the worth, importance, or usefulness of something to a stakeholder within a context. Now, at this stage, the business analysts under planning and monitoring conduct performance analysis to ensure business analysis activities continue to produce sufficient value for stakeholders. Context, the circumstances that are influenced by and provide understanding of the change. Ensure at this stage, business analysts ensure a complete understanding of the context under analysis in order to develop an efficient business analysis approach. Now, let's move right into this. Business analysis planning and monitoring input or output diagram. Let's see if we can digest this diagram. So, the input. Now, when you are planning your business analysis, doing your business analysis planning and monitoring, the input, whenever you see input, just know that this is what you are bringing in, this is what you are introducing, this is what the materials or whatever that you need. Okay. Then, when you see tasks, these are activities that you need to perform. Okay. Then, when you see output, these are the results from your tasks or activities that you've performed. So now, in this case, for business analysis planning and monitoring, what you need is the needs. Now, needs. What You've gone to your stakeholders and you've asked them, what do you need? So for you to do your business analysis planning and you need to have an idea of the needs and performance objectives. This is external. Remember that whatever input that you get from outside comes with the attachment external. So performance objectives. Now, you know the need, or you are bringing in the need, or you want to find out the need. You are also looking at performance objectives. What are the performance objectives that your stakeholders require from you or from this project? Or, you know, then what are the tasks to be performed? The task to be performed here is this: plan business analysis approach. That is the number one. Plan stakeholder engagement. So when you plan your approach, that is it going to be waterfall or agile, you now go ahead to plan how you are going to engage with your stakeholders. Then you now plan your governance, how you're going to put in control. Then you now talk about your business analysis information, how you're going to manage your information. Then you now talk about how you're going to control, like put a check on performance improvement. Okay? Now, what are the outputs? So when you are done with this, you are looking to get, or you're looking at getting business analysis approach. Now, you now decide if it's going to be waterfall or agile. You now know how you are going to engage with your stakeholders. You now know how your governance will look like. You now know how whatever information you get, how you are going to improve on that, or how you are going to control that, who you are going to give access to. You now know how, if there are issues, you now know how to tackle performance assessment. So let's move. Plan business analysis approach. I hope you are finding this is helping you, and if yes, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share. So, business analysis approach. Remember, business analysis approach. How do you want to approach your, how do you want to plan your business analysis approach? Purpose. The purpose of business analysis approach is to define an appropriate method to conduct business analysis activities. How do you want to conduct your activities? So, description. Business analysis approaches describe the overall method that will be followed when performing business analysis work on a given initiative, how and when tasks will be performed, and the deliverables that will be produced. Now, this helps you to decide the business analysis what's the overall method you want to follow when it comes to an initiative, when it comes to a project, when you want to maybe design your online platform. What approach do you want to, what method do you want to take it up from? Okay, and how do you want to do that, and when, how and when tasks will be performed, and the deliverables that will be produced. The business analyst may also identify an initial set of techniques to use. This list may change as the initiative proceeds and the business analyst gains a deeper understanding of the change and its stakeholders. So you can even at this initial stage define your techniques, but note, as times goes on, it could change because you are now going deep and you're now getting a better clarity from your stakeholders, better understanding from even the work you do. Okay, so as a business analyst, the fact that learning and development for you doesn't end, even on the job, you are learning, you are developing, you are changing stuff. The business analysis approach may be defined by a methodology or by organizational standards. See, this is very important. Please note that your approach could be defined by one, a methodology that you've picked up, or that you've looked at this requirement, or you looked at the need and you say that, oh, I think for example, in project management, we say, okay, what defines if you're going agile or if you're going waterfall? This, if you're going agile, it could be because, oh, we need this as fast as possible. If you're going waterfall, okay, we can accommodate, risk. We don't like, we want you, we maybe this is something that you don't even know, like, okay, this is something that is capital intensive, this is something that it would take a lot of time, and this is like, is a humongous one, so you are also looking at money, and you're like, okay, I think the best thing is to take this from agile approach. Okay, so now The business analysis approach may be defined by a methodology. That is why when you are now taking it from the methodology aspect or by organizational standards, and when you come into an organization, they will tell you, oh, this is our standard. Okay? You have to go with that in most cases. In some organizations, elements of the business analysis approach may be standardized and formalized into a repeatable business analysis process, which can be leveraged for each effort. So at times you come, they've already laid down their standard, their method. In fact, they've documented it. They already have expectations of if you like what you should produce or what should happen at each step. So you follow suit. Even where a standard approach exists, it may be tailored to the needs of a specific initiative. So even when they have that standard set down, initiatives are never the same. So you may need to still streamline, you may need to still tailor it to a specific initiative. Tailoring may be governed by standards that define which approaches are permitted. So even when you are tailoring it, you are still governed by their standards. Which elements of those processes may be tailored or and general guidelines for selecting a process. And now, if you are tailoring, you are controlled by their standard, their governance, or whatever decision you are making. It's controlled by a guideline. Okay, for example, if we want to take agile method, the cap is this amount. If we want to take waterfall, the cap when it comes to the budget spending should be this amount. So you'll be like, okay, this is the procedure. Okay, if this is what it has to be. Okay. Now, if organizational standards do not exist, the business analyst works with the appropriate stakeholders to determine how the work will be completed. For example, if the change is delivered via a project, the standard and approach may be developed during the project planning phase. Okay, so if organizational standard do not exist, now if you come into an organization and there's no standard, the business analyst works with the you meet the appropriate people to determine how the work will be completed. So you meet the appropriate stakeholders, maybe the SMEs or even your sponsor, so that you will determine how this work can be completed. Okay, so that means you draft your own standard, you draft your own method. Okay, for example, if the change is delivered via a project, the standard and approach may be developed during the project planning phase. So if the projects, whatever you have is delivered via a project, so maybe you have to decide on stuff during the planning stage. Okay, the business analysis approach should align to the overall goals of the change. So make sure whatever you do aligns with the overall goal of the change. Coordinate the business analysis tasks with the activities and deliverables of overall change. So whatever you do would have to be coordinated with the business analysis tasks, with the activities and deliverables of the overall change. Include tasks to manage any risk that could reduce the quality of business analysis deliverables or impede task efficiency. Now, please, you have to be alert when it comes to change, when it comes to making changes and also risk. So that means you have to create room for anything risk so that you'll be able to control that. Leverage approaches and select techniques and tools that have historically worked well. So telling you that you also have to leverage or lean on methodologies or techniques that have been historically they've proven to have worked well. For example, if you want to develop a CRM system and they've developed a CRM system, that's customer relationship management system in that organization, what you can do is, or if the stakeholder is there, or maybe the project manager or even the business analyst that did that, or even they have historical documents, you can make references to those so that you know how the best way to approach what you want to do. So input, needs. So the business analysis approach is shaped by the problem or opportunity faced by the organization. So whatever you do is shaped by the issue in an organization. It is necessary to consider what is known about need at the time of planning, while acknowledging that understanding evolves throughout business analysis activities. So hold on to what you know, but know that as you go on, it evolves. Okay? Now, plan business analysis approach, input or output diagram. So remember, the input is need. Okay? And you are planning the business analysis approach, and the output is the business analysis approach. And the tasks are these. Tasks using this output. So the tasks that will be using the business analysis approach, please don't get confused. Yeah, is when you are doing plan your stakeholder engagement, you will need to know the task that comes out of the needs of the business analysis approach. When you plan business analysis governance, you will need to know this. When you plan your business analysis information management, you will have this approach at the forefront. When you want to identify business analysis performance improvement, you want to know the business analysis approach. When you want to prepare for elicitation, the same. When you want to conduct elicitation, communicate business analysis information, even when you want to manage stakeholder collaboration, analyze current state, define change strategy, even your assess risk. Don't worry, by the time we get there, you'll see all this. So, guidelines and tools. What are the guidelines and tools that will guide your you planning your business analysis approach? One, business analysis performance assessment. Now, you want to what would guide you is the performance assessment. And you know what performance assessment is when you are looking at the rate of performance and what you expect out of this. Business policies. Are there policies guiding this? That will guide the approach. That will guide your decision towards the approach that you want to take. Okay? So your expert's judgment, that is when you reach out to stakeholders, SMEs and the rest, and they will give you advice. They will tell you take it this way. They would inform you about the company and stuff like that. And okay, that now informs your thinking towards the approach you want to take. Methodologies and framework. What are the methodologies and frameworks you have available to you? Stakeholder engagement approach. What the way you would engage your stakeholders? How does it inform the approach you want to take? When it comes to Agile, you engage your stakeholders differently. When it comes to Waterfall, you engage your stakeholders differently. So all these informs you. All these inform you rather. Yeah. So elements. Now, before we dive into the elements, if this is of help to you, kindly subscribe, share, like, comment, and let's take a quick break. We'll be back. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you were able to take some rest and also stretch. So, let's go back to planning business analysis, planning and monitoring. Okay, and we are on planning business analysis approach. So, the element planning approach. There are various planning methods across perspective industries and enterprises. Many planning methods fit somewhere along a continuum between predictive and adaptive approaches. Predictive is the waterfall, adaptive is the agile. So predictive approaches focus on minimizing upfront uncertainty and ensuring that the solution is defined before implementation begins in order to maximize control and minimize risk. So these approaches are often preferred in situations where requirements can effectively be defined. Okay, ahead of implementation. The risk of an incorrect implementation is unacceptably high or when engaging stakeholders present significant challenges. So now it tells you that the predictive approach focuses on minimizing upfront uncertainty. That's why they want to know what will happen from now till they finish. Okay, they have minimal, they are risk averse, like they don't want to take risk. We want to know what would happen at each point. So adaptive approaches focus on rapid delivery. So please note this. This is very important. So tells you upfront, this one is on adaptive delivery. So we want it quick, quick, quick. That is agile. Okay. Delivery of business in short iterations in return for acceptance of a high degree of uncertainty regarding the overall delivery of solution. These approaches tend to be preferred when taking an exploratory approach to finding the best solution for or for incremental improvement of an existing solution. Okay, so whenever you see iterations, whenever you see adaptive, just know that it is agile. Whenever you see predictive, just know that it is waterfall. So the predictive is low risk. They want to do stuff upfront, while the adaptive is they want it rapid. Okay, and it has to do with its short iterations. That is a minimum of 2 weeks. Different approaches may be used within the same initiative. Among other factors, the business analyst may consider the organizational standards, remember, tolerance for uncertainty when it comes to risk, and previous experience with different approaches when planning for business analysis activities. Remember when we said, oh, you have to go back to history, what has worked, what have you people used, so that you can lean or leverage that. Regardless of the approach, planning is an essential task to ensure value is delivered to an enterprise. Planning typically occurs more than once on a given initiative as plans are updated to address changing business conditions and newly raised issues. The business analysis approach should describe how plans will be altered if changes are required. So it tells you that one, regardless of the approach, planning is your initial task and it ensures that value is delivered to an enterprise. And also, planning could be changed when things evolve. And you should also, on your business analysis planning approach, tell us how you would do stops when there are alterations, when maybe business brings in a new change. How do you want to accommodate that? And also maybe when business when a project is delaying, how do you want to plan accommodating the delay in time? Formality and level of detail of business analysis deliverables. When defining the business analysis approach, consider the level of formality that is appropriate for approaching and planning the initiative. Predictive approaches typically call for formal documentation. Please note this, is very important. Yes. Predictive approaches typically call for formal documentation. Yes, when it comes to predictive, you have to document from your project charter to whatever, and representations. So you have to get all your stakeholders in the room. You have to look at your briefing notes. You have to plan your timeline, your stuffs. You have to get sign-offs. So business analysis information may be captured in a formal document or set of representations following standardized templates. There are so many templates when it comes to predictive approach. Information is captured at various levels of detail. The specific content and format of business analysis information can vary depending on the organizational methodologies, processes, and templates in use, telling you that this changes from one organization to another. Adaptive approach favor defining requirements and design through theme interaction and gathering feedback on a working solution. So, when it comes to adaptive approach, documentation is not waiting. You gather whatever you need by constant meeting, looking at your requirements, design, and feedback. Mandatory requirements representations are often limited to a prioritized requirements list. So your backlog. So when it comes to agile approach, you have your backlog, you refine it, you now streamline or take out what you want to go into that sprint. Okay. Additional business analysis documentation may be created at the discretion of the team and generally consists of models developed to enhance the team's understanding of a specific problem. So whatever you do, it depends on your team's understanding on a specific problem. Formal documentation is often produced after the solution is implemented to facilitate knowledge transfer. usually your user manual, your demos, and the rest, and your acceptance criteria and stuff. Other considerations that may affect the approach include the change is complex and high risk. The organization is in or interacts with heavily regulated industries. Contract or agreement necessitates formality. Stakeholders are geographically distributed. Resources are outsourced. Staff turnover is high or team members may be inexperienced. Requirements must be formally signed off. When it has to be do that, that means it's telling you that this has to be predictive. Business analysis information may be maintained long term or handed over for use on future initiatives. So this just tells you also that these could help you determine the methodologies or approach you want to take. So formality and level of detail of business analysis deliverables, approach, predictive, and adaptive. So solution definition. Under predictive, defined before implementation to maximize control and minimize risk. This is just to help you remember the difference between predictive and adaptive. For adaptive under solution definition, defined in iteration to arrive at best solution or improve an existing solution. So usually in an adaptive, at the initial, the only thing we need is the initial idea. Then we walk through that. Level of formality. Formal information is captured in standardized templates. For predictive. For adaptive, informal. Information is gathered through team interaction and feedback. Activities. Activities required to complete deliverables are identified first and then divided into tasks. Under adaptive, activities are defined into iterations with deliverables first, and then the associated tasks are identified. Timing. Under predictive, tasks are performed in specific phases. For adaptive, tasks are performed iteratively. Business analysis activities. A business analysis approach provides a description of the types of activities that the business analyst will perform. So the approach you take provides you with a decision on the activities or types of activities that the business analyst will perform. Frequently, the organization's adopted methodologies influence the activities that are selected. So, integrating business analysis activities in the business analysis approach includes identifying the activities required to complete each deliverable and then breaking each activity into tasks, dividing the work into iterations, identifying the deliverables for each iteration, and then identifying the associated activities and tasks, or using a previous similar initiative as an outline and applying the detailed tasks and activities unique to the current initiative. So, business analysis activities. So, it tells you here integrating business analysis activities in the business analysis approach includes breaking it down, going historical, and also dividing the work into iterations. Timing of business analysis work. Business analysts determine when the business, remember we are still under elements so that you don't get confused. Timing of business analysis work. Business analysts determine when the business analysis tasks need to be performed and if the level of business analysis effort will need to vary over time. This type of planning includes determining whether the business analysis tasks performed within other knowledge areas will be performed primarily in the specific phases or iteratively over the course of initiative. So timing of business analysis work, it helps you to know when some tasks will be performed, how to accommodate some stuff. Okay. The timing of business analysis activities can also be affected by the availability of resources. Now, when your resources are available, when they are not, it determines how things go, how fast or how quickly you get some tasks out. Priority and or urgency of an initiative. When you come to your backlog or when you come to requirements, for your backlog, you look at, okay, what will bring us money or what will bring in flow, okay, as soon as possible. Or when it's agile, when it's waterfall, you prioritize it according to business needs. Other concurrent initiatives or constraints such as contract terms or regulatory deadlines. At times you'll be like, oh, these are dependent on regulatory guidelines. So let's push them down and let's finish other tasks first. Complexity and risk. The complexity and size of the change and the overall risk of the effort to the organization are considered when determining the business analysis approach. Yes, please. When it's complex and when the project is complex and when there are so many risks, it helps to determine the approach. As complexity and risk increase or decrease, the nature and scope of business analysis work can be altered and reflected in the approach. The approach may also be altered based on the number of stakeholders or business analysis resources involved in the initiative. As the number of stakeholders increases, the approach may be adjusted to include additional process steps to better manage the business analysis work. So, whatever approach looks at complexity and risk, and they work hand in hand. But as you develop or you deep dive into the project, things change. You try to accommodate stuff. Okay. Other factors that can impact complexity include size of change, number of business areas or systems affected, geographic and cultural considerations, technological complexities, and any risk that could impede the business analysis efforts. Factors that can impact the risk level of a business analysis effort include experience level of the business analyst, extent of domain knowledge held by the business analyst, level of experience stakeholders have in communicating their needs, stakeholder attitudes about the change and the business analysis in general, amount of time allocated by stakeholders to the business analysis activities, any pre-selected framework, methodology, tools and or techniques imposed by organizational policies and practices and cultural norms of the organization. Now, acceptance. The business analysis approach is reviewed and agreed upon by key stakeholders. Everything is like decided by your key stakeholders. This is governance for you. In some organizations, the business analysis process may be more structured and require key stakeholders to sign off on approach to ensure all business analysis activities have been identified, estimates are realistic, and the proposed roles and responsibilities are correct. Any issues raised by stakeholders when reviewing the approach are documented by the business analyst and resolutions are sought. Stakeholders also play a role in reviewing and accepting changes to the approach as alterations are made to accommodate changing conditions across the initiative. Guidelines and tools. I hope this is of some help to you, and if it is, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. So, guidelines and tools. Business analysis performance assessment would guide your decision towards your you planning the approach you want to take. Okay, I know this is overwhelming, but just think it this way. So the business analysis performance assessment provides results of previous assessments that should be reviewed and incorporated into all planning approaches. So maybe the former project you've assessed it, you have to refer to it, so that it will help your decision in the planning approach for this project. Business policies define the limits within which decisions must be made. Are they policies guiding? They may be described by regulations, contracts, agreements, deals, warranties, certificates, certifications, or other legal obligations. These policies can influence the business analysis approach. Expert judgment. used to determine the optimal business analysis approach. Expertise may be provided from a wide range of sources, including your stakeholders on the initiative, organizational centers of excellence, consultants, or associations and industry groups. Prior to experiences of the business analysts and other stakeholders should be considered when selecting or modifying an approach. Methodologies and frameworks. The shape the approach that will be used by providing methods, techniques, procedures, working concept, and rules. They may need to be tailored to better meet the needs of specific business challenge. Stakeholder engagement approach. So, understanding the stakeholders and their concerns and interests may influence decisions made when determining the business analysis approach. So we are almost done with this part. So, yeah, techniques. Brainstorming. So, used to identify possible business analysis activities, techniques, risk, and other relevant items to help build the business analysis approach. So, you are putting heads together to decide. Business cases used to understand whether elements of the problem or opportunities are especially time sensitive, high value, or whether there is any particular uncertainty around elements of the possible need or solution. So, when you say business cases, that is like the business experience, what they want. For example, I need to log in, I need to do this, I need to do that. So you are reviewing them to make sure that whatever you have here, whatever decision you are going to take would meet that need. Document analysis used to review existing organizational assets that might assist in planning the approach. So you want to look at the documents, your historical document, to make sure that they could help. Estimation used to determine how long it may take to perform business analysis activities. Financial analysis used to assess how different approaches and the supported delivery options affect the value delivered. Functional decomposition used to break down complex business analysis processes or approaches into more feasible components. Interviews used to help build a plan with an individual or group, small groups, meeting your stakeholders to interview them. Item tracking used to track any issues raised during the planning activities with stakeholders, can also track risks related to items raised during discussions when building the approach. Lesson learned used to identify an enterprise's previous experience, both successes and challenges with planning business analysis approach. Process modeling used to define and document the business analysis approach. When you build up a model to show like in a diagram form the flow, how this goes so that it helps with an understanding. Reviews used to validate the selected business analysis approach with stakeholders. Risk analysis and management used to assess risk in order to select the proper business analysis approach. Scope modeling used to, you see, scope modeling and process modeling used to determine the boundaries of the solution as an input to planning and estimating. Survey or questionnaires used to identify possible business analysis activities, techniques, risk, and other relevant items to help build the business analysis approach. Workshop used to help build a plan in a team setting. Stakeholders. So these are the stakeholders that would be important to you planning your approach. Domain subject matter expert can be a source of risk when their involvement is required and availability is lacking. Have this in mind, please. The approach taken may depend on availability and level of their involvement with the initiative. So, domain subject matter expert. This is the person that knows the in and out of that business. It could be the admin, it could be the super user, or any other person. Project manager determines that the approach is realistic for the overall schedule and timeline. Remember, the work of the business analyst is different than the work of the project manager. And most times you work with a project manager. So the project manager comes in to decide, the timeline and the schedule meets their needs. So the business analysis approach must be compatible with other activities. Remember this. The regulator may be needed to provide approval for aspects of the business analysis approach or decisions made in tailored monitoring the process, especially in organizations where the business analysis process is audited. Your sponsor can provide needs and objectives for the approach and ensures that organizational policies are followed. The selected approach may depend on availability and involvement with the initiative. Output: business analysis approach identifies the business analysis approach and activities that will be performed across an initiative, including who will perform the activities, the timing, and the sequencing of the work, the deliverables that will be produced, and the business analysis techniques that will be utilized. The remaining output of business analysis and monitoring knowledge area may be integrated into an overall approach or be independent based upon methodology, organization, and perspective. And this brings us to the end of Plan Your Business Analysis Approach. Thank you so much for waiting till this time. So next time we are going to dive into plan stakeholder engagement. Meanwhile, just to have a summary of what we did. Remember that we started with business analysis, planning, and monitoring. We looked at plan business analysis approach, and we looked at the input being the needs, the output being the business analysis approach. We are also going to go into plan stakeholder engagement, plan BA governance, plan business analysis information management, identify business analysis performance improvement. And these are all under our 6 knowledge areas in business analysis. So, yes, and thank you so much. And if this has been of help to you, kindly subscribe, like, comment, and share. See you. Bye.